What is up? Inside of a new grow garden update that's on the way, right? There's been a ton of leaks and rumors and some really cool like features I think the community from the Starboard once added. I've seen so many of people like, looking into this stuff or not being able to find enough information. So I got pretty much all the active information that I'll be covering in today's video. And so obviously we'll go into the leaks and obviously my favorite suggestions. And then also, if you enjoy this type of content, probably not because I don't even enjoy making it myself. Make sure to leave a like, maybe even subscribe if you're cool. So obviously start off with the biggest one that is guaranteed. So this was recently pushed. So if you go over to like the Roblox page, go down to Grow a Garden, go down right to their event tab. If I can find it, we have the prehistoric update. So this was finally pushed. And so as you see, history roars to life, explore the prehistoric event packed with dino size surprises and all kind of relics from the forgotten age. Explore and participate in all new prehistoric events while also discovering and unlocking a seed better than the candy blossom. Multiply other seeds, pets, so much more. And okay, blah blah blah, holy app. But you get the point, right? The main takeaway is that there's going to be a plant better than the candy blossom. And also on TikTok, right, on Jandel's page, he made a video directly saying how they're going to make a plant better than that. So it's in this video right here. I'm not going to play too much of it because I get copyrighted. But right in this one, right, they explain how like they were going to add a candy blossom system, or not a candy blossom. They're going to add a plant better than the candy blossom. And the reason for this is because they don't want to make every update, back to back, like grind for this plant, like that, because then the game will get really boring really fast. So what they're doing instead is they're going to make it more gearing towards, grind for this, event stuff, but you don't need it, but it is fun to, right? Cool event limiteds and all that. But the main thing with this is they're going to be integrating a new plant that's going to be better than the candy blossom. Now, we don't directly know what this plant is yet. I'll cover that later in the video though, but we do know for a fact that we are going to have finally a plant better than the candy blossom. Now, if you didn't know, right, the candy blossom is like absurd, right? It wins in pretty much everything. So if it comes to base sell value, the candy blossom, like obviously you can get things better than the candy blossom, but like, for example, the candy blossom grows a lot of crops, right? I think it can grow like 8 or more. And the one thing that sets it apart is the 8 plants it can grow have a base sell value of 90,000, right? The most plants, like the less plants a plant grows, the higher its sell value. And most plants that only grow like 2 crops or more or less, like 2 or 1, don't even have a sell value that high. Like the sunflower's base sell value, I think it's just barely higher than that, but that doesn't make it better than the candy blossom because it doesn't, grow as many plants, and it's also really hard to obtain. So they're going to be adding in a plant that completely outdoes the candy blossom in every way, which is cool. We also have leaks towards a dinosaur egg, prehistoric plants, and a bunch of new weather types. So do keep in mind, obviously this update will come out soon in a few days, whenever, the weekend hits. So obviously it didn't happen this week, but it'll be coming this following weekend. So now obviously we can talk about some really cool suggestions I have seen inside of like the Grow Garden Discord server and just fan-made suggestions that usually the reason why they have the suggestions is they have this is just so they can get like community ideas and all that. And one of, my few favorite ones is one of them, which is going to be called the lock tool. So I have a screenshot of this. The lock tool was a fan-made idea. So as you see, it locks your fruits to prevent from being stolen. 3 uses, 1 in stock, right? So this is going to be a divine rarity. Potentially, they might make it however they want, but you buy it, 3 uses, and it locks the plant from being stolen. Now, obviously they could not integrate this and just make the favoriting tool do that pretty much. I do like the concept of having a dedicated item specifically for this, and the reason why is so the favorite tool keeps you from picking it up yourself, but the lock tool keeps other people from picking it up, so you could favorite and lock an item, or just favorite it or just lock it, right? This would add more like controllability over very high value plants. Like this one isn't high value, but it has a ton of mutations, and I know if I go in like a public server, people are going to steal it, and like obviously it's only like 30 something Robux, right? Like almost anyone has that, and you can, if like, it'll take away the pain of not wanting to go into public servers, because for me right now, like I want to do the summer harvest event, right? But I can't go into public servers because I know almost every decent plant I have in my garden is going to get stolen. And then on top of that, it takes away like the ability literally just to go into public servers and grind with other people. And the main issue around that, once again, is you have to stay in your private server, hiding away to not get your crap stolen, which is also like, it is annoying, but at the same time, it's also like all this could be fixed if they've made some way to get around the item stealing. Now, I do like this concept since it is hyper-focused specifically on that, but I would also genuinely wonder why wouldn't the favorite tool do the exact same thing? Like, it just locks the plant from getting claimed in general. But nonetheless, it is a cool concept item. And now the second one I've seen is clearly marked like limited items. So I have seen a lot of frustration people have. So if obviously, you know, you've any limited plant, right? For example, any of the past ones. So they have like shops, right? Where the shop is considered, you know, the basic seed shop can be considered in season based. So it's like this season is, you know, the summer season, right? So the shop changes depending on the season, right? They could make that a category, rather a event one, but like something like this, right? The moon melons are limited, right? And it's annoying, in my opinion, other people's opinion. That's why this is on the starboard. Like for stuff to be clearly marked as limited, right? Because like you grinded for all this crap, like say blood kiwis, you know, moon cats, sprinklers, rare eggs, you know, rare seeds. Like we have the Ember Lily, Moon Blossom, Moon Mango, a bunch of other crap in here. Sorry, but the main thing is that is like really annoying about this is all this stuff was from previous events, right? But now they're just normally obtainable from this event. So it's like if they're limited and they're going to be marked as limited, you should, you know, clearly mark that the item is directly like this is a limited plant, never coming back in, and just leave it at that rather than, you know, just, you know, saying it's in one of your new weekly events and then just including it in that, because that does make a bit of confusion around if it is really limited or not, and then crap like that. Now, though, this would be nice once again, and I do think they should add something like this. I feel like it would just be understandable to have like a direct event, you know, category that plants are like directly, they're like, this is an event plant, right? That would just make sense to have. But once again, why labeled items, I would, you know, why you should label them as limited is, you know, avoid player confusion, right? This will help keep items at a specific value. And then obviously this will help, you know, developers release different versions later, you know. Also, another one is, I can't remember who it was, but they also were like really annoyed with this thing. They said, let us know if something is really limited or, you know, it'll be available later. Otherwise, why waste time grinding now, you know, when it'll come back later? And honestly, he is kind of right. Like, say for the moon mango, right? Kind of hard to get, but you know, now in the new update, not really, right? Like you can get this kind of frequently. And it used to be like there was no guaranteeing if it was coming in shop, and if it did come in shop, it's expensive. And now you can just do like the basic tomato strat, right? To grind the event easily and get moon mangoes every time, or moon melons. The nice thing is custom weather events. I've seen some people say probably it's not like you know, you specifically have your own custom weather events, like, oh, I want an event where Jandel, you know, does the orange justice on my plant and it, you know, turns a certain mutation. It's something like this, right? So it's called a weather board, but it's not really custom mutations, more of like it'll just notify you, right? So we have a weather board. I like this idea. So you can get like just know when the next basic updates are coming. So we have like rain, moonlit, meteor shower, frost. This takes the random aspect away from it, because the issue with weather events now is they're genuinely random. There's no consistent time to it, and that's one of the main problems. So there's like, if this was cool, this would be nice to have it. So it'd be like weather's in 2 hours, right? Moonlit's in 4 hours, meteor showers in 5 hours, and then frost or snow is in 7 hours. Things like this would be very nice to have, considering how simple this is probably to add and how much this would help. Because then I could, like, if I'm trying to get a specific mutation, I don't have to join my Discord server, which has a weather event notifier, shameless plug. And we also have a seed notifier, stock notifier for the seeds, gear, eggs, and once again, the weather event notifier. So you should join the Discord server. Again, as always, that's in the description. But this would be to where, like, if I'm grinding mutations on, say, like that sunflower, right? Or just say this honeysuckle, right? Gold, honey glaze. And then I'm like, oh, but I want to get, you know, a lightning on it or shocked, right? So I'll wait for that event to spawn. Like, say it'll say, oh, thunderstorm in 3.5 hours. So then I'll come like 3 hours early or later, get in before the event starts. I get the crap, right? I would like that concept a lot more, having to deal with the issues of just the randomness around it. And then additionally, also, once again, with custom weather events, this is something that, like, actually custom. So some people have suggested adding the ability to spend shekels, to like shekels on a fruit, right, to trigger specific weather events. So not custom, but you can like manually trigger specific ones. So like if you spent 500, you know, million shekels and 2 sunflowers, you could spawn in the sun ray event, you know, hints around the sunflower and all that. Or like 500 million shekels and, you know, a something random, like, you know, moon melons or something, and you could force spawn like the nighttime events, stuff like that. That would be cool, right? And I do think that is also really good, once again, with the board system. So if you're like you're like, oh, the, thunderstorm isn't going to happen for the next, 7 hours, right? I need to get shocked mutation now. So, right, I'm going to use this basic thing. I really like that concept, and I do think that should be in some way integrated, because that would be cool in my opinion. The next thing is space update. So this is something I've seen some people say about. So some person, I can't remember, they made there's like obviously the space events, but they made like a cosmic seed pack and space plants. So like this one, right? There's this one and a bunch of others, like the galactic blossom, then the galactic mutation, and then there's a seed packs, and then there's all sorts of crap. He mentioned a plant, once again, that one called the cosmic blossom, really cool, which would be even better than the candy blossom. So, by chance. And then I've thought about stuff like this. This is a cool concept idea of, the one thing though with like the blossoms, there's like the candy blossom, not this, the moon blossom. And then they leaked about like a honey blossom. They took that out like immediately though, because it got leaked directly. But things like this would be, I like the idea of getting all these like just really cool wild updates. But like the thing with the blossoms is like, it feels like such a copy paste format, right? Where it's like, oh, the new best one, well, or the rarest one, let's make it a blossom or some flower type, right? If they could do something like that, I think I don't like the concept. The concept is cool of the space event, but a moon blossom specifically, or a galactic blossom, sounds really unoriginal, considering there's like a ton of other blossoms, and it wouldn't be cool to make the new best plant, still a blossom plant. But nonetheless, that is still a pretty cool concept. And another thing, this one I think has actually been hinted towards, is called a loadout system. So I think Jando literally just made a video about this, and it's called Save Slot. I'm not gonna watch it, but pretty much the concept idea is save slot. So there's pet save slots and then your map save slots. So the pet slot, right, is, so like for me, I have like a setup, right? So I'll do queen bee, raccoon, dragonfly, moth, and then I'll do a disco bee and then something else, right? And usually this will be like I'm playing with other people, the raccoon just because it's cool, a flex, and then the other stuff because it's actually, usable. I don't have 8 slots, but then sometimes I'm wanting to switch over to like grinding specific things, like mooncats and toucans, right? That's good for grinding like the honeysuckle really big, or elephant ears and stuff like this, because the mooncat glitch and all that stuff. And ideas like that I really do like. And so you could easily have like save slot 1, and then you click over to number 2, and then things like that. And then same with your plot, right? If you could imagine having something like here or something, or like in like a UI, you could select like in your settings or something, and you could load a saved slot. This was directly something that Jandel said, which I do like, because then if you could, the one idea though is like if it had all your seeds, right? So like that would be the one only concern, is if for saving a slot, is if you have the slot put down, right, and you have to take your items. So if it could get confusing if, say, it's like I have all these seeds and all these plants, right, and then you make a new slot and I get all those seeds back in my inventory, but now I can use them in this thing. And then if you put them all back down, right, now you have all these seeds again. But it's like there could probably be glitches, dupe glitches easily from crap like that, I'm assuming. But still, nonetheless, there's probably something they would do to get around that. But I would like the idea, because like if I made a a cool flexing base where I would like probably have like a few sugar apples, one of like all plants, right, that would look cool. And just something like that, really big, one of every plant, right, that would be cool in my opinion. But then I'm like, well, if I switch to another base, would I still have a sunflower I could plant down? And if I planted down that sunflower, would it still have all these mutations and all that? That's the one concept that I think the reason why they probably haven't added it something like that yet is they got to get around stuff like that, find ways to make things around that. There's also been, for the most part, that's pretty much most of them. So obviously these are some awesome leaks and community ideas. I would personally like to see the space one. That sounds really cool, like a really cool concept idea, because we already have an event, right? Why not make a full update out of it? Because that'd be cool. Obviously, let me know what you think. You can leave a comment on this. I'll probably try to respond to comments if you have like your own personal idea or things like that. But anyways, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next.